Imagine a world where the gods are not distant observers, but active, often capricious participants in human affairs, and where the greatest battles are fought not with swords, but with faith, politics, and the sheer force of will. You are Ista, a dowager Rowena who has spent years trapped in the gilded cage of her family's expectations, only to find herself thrust into a diplomatic mission that spirals into a supernatural crisis involving demons, cursed spirits, and a young man whose soul is being torn apart. But when you realize that the Paladin isn't a warrior of light, but a broken woman who must pick up the pieces of a shattered divine order, you understand that salvation isn't about power, it's about compassion in the face of despair. Welcome to Paladin of Souls, the second pulse-pounding, atmospheric, and deeply strategic installment in Lois McMaster Bujold's Chalion series. If you love political fantasy tropes, complex theology, and stories that explore the sheer, unadulterated thrill of watching a protagonist navigate a web of intrigue through wit, empathy, and superior tactics, this audiobook will completely consume you. It is a masterclass in speculative fiction, blending the visceral chill of spiritual horror with the profound warmth of human resilience. The narrative kicks off with Ista's reluctant departure from her home, thrusting her into a race against time to stop a demonic incursion before it consumes the borderlands. The atmosphere is thick with the scent of old stone and incense, the hum of latent magic, and the creeping dread of knowing that every decision could branch into a timeline where the gods themselves are compromised. Bujold excels at capturing the psychological nuance of living in a world where magic is real but dangerous, making every successful negotiation, every shared secret, and every narrow escape from madness feel like a high-stakes gamble where the price of failure is not just death, but the loss of one's soul to the void. At the core of the book's massive appeal is its spectacular, reluctant hero trope and the brilliant interconnected lives dynamic. This isn't just about finding answers, it's about understanding the complex ecology of the spirit world, managing limited emotional resources, and using human ingenuity to outsmart enemies who rely on fear and ignorance. Watching the protagonist reverse engineer the past, forge uneasy alliances with eccentric neighbors, and completely shock cynical strangers with their stubborn belief and hope is incredibly satisfying. The audiobook narration brings the visceral impact of the emotion to life, making the rustle of leaves, the shudder of a tear, and the frantic chatter of the mind feel incredibly real and deeply immersive. But beyond the spectacular charm and the fantasy mechanics, the soul of Chalion lies in its characters and the heavy burden of memory. The protagonist isn't just a seeker, they are a deeply human individual struggling with the moral weight of holding on to the past while trying to build a future. The emotional anchor of the story is their fierce, unbreakable bond with the people they meet along the way, a found family bound by shared trauma and the knowledge that they are the only ones who truly understand the value of what has been lost. The audiobook format elevates these intimate moments, making the quiet conversations in the shop feel just as impactful as the explosive, heart-pounding confrontations with the truth. As the plot accelerates towards its climax, the pacing becomes utterly breathless. A major revelation threatens to unravel the connections the protagonist has worked so hard to build, forcing them into a desperate, high-stakes confrontation with their own fears. The finale is a breathtaking display of emotional courage, strategic brilliance, and raw, unbridled love. They must use every hidden trick, every overloaded trap, and every ounce of their will to hold the line against an unstoppable tide of forgetting. The payoff is spectacular, delivering a massive, paradigm-shifting victory that proves humanity's greatest weapon isn't its technology, it's its ability to remember. Paladin of Souls is a triumph of the fantasy genre. It is smart, funny, and unapologetically intense. Lois McMaster Bujold has crafted a novel that perfectly captures the thrill of the ultimate underdog holding the line against oblivion. Plug in your headphones, check your pockets, and join the keeper. The world is full of lost things, but they're here to stay.